It's mid-November. Let's check in on all my fall knitting plans. Hi everyone, I'm Liz and welcome back to Elizabeth Ann Can Stitch. Today's video is going to be all about my fall knitting projects and the progress that I have been making on them. Normally I come at you with a weekly video updating you on all the crafts and projects that I have been working on, but since I've been gone for 2 weeks and I have so much to share, I thought that I would divide these updates into 2 videos and share with you today all of the knitting projects that I have progress on. If you want to see what I have been cross-stitching and sewing on, that will be coming at you in the next video. If you happen to be new to my channel, hi, I'm Liz, and I live in the Austin, Texas area with my husband and our 3 orange and black cats. By day, I am a full-time corporate robot, and by night, I am the Energizer Bunny of crafting. I love all of the crafts. Craft is life. And besides all of my crafty hobbies, YouTube, video editing, Instagram have become another creative outlet and hobby / side hustle. And I absolutely love sharing all of my crafting and creating with other people who just love it and obsess over it as much as I do. So just a big thank you to everyone who continues to come back and watch these videos. And speaking of thankful, I want to take a minute to thank the sponsor of this week's video, Skillshare. Recently, I've been wanting to work on ways that I can improve and level up my skills with my content creation here on YouTube and on Instagram, and I've started taking classes to do that on Skillshare. Skillshare is the largest online learning community for creatives with thousands of classes led by industry experts across film, illustration, interior design, content creation, and even sewing classes. Skillshare can help you take your hobbies, passions, career, or side hustle to the next level. I have been taking the social media content creation in Canva class taught by Maggie Stara to improve my skills and efficiencies using Canva to create graphics for my YouTube channel and for Instagram. I really appreciated the lesson she taught on color palettes and color theory and how colors can evoke certain emotions out of an audience and the way they associate the brand with you. Consistent branding of my channel is definitely something I've lacked over the last 5 years. Since I do this YouTube and Instagram thing as a side hobby and side job, it's just not something I've had a lot of time to focus on branding wise. And I'm really excited to be able to utilize Skillshare's classes on how to become a better content creator and try to take this side hustle to the next level. The first 500 people to click the link in my description box below will receive a free 1-month trial of Skillshare. Get started today. Thank you, Skillshare. And now let's get into the knitting. Okay, we're starting with a big ol' finish this week, and that is my Cac Sweater by Atelier Castine. 2 weeks ago, I had shown you guys that I had finished knitting this, but I still needed to get it washed, blocked, ends woven in, and just completely finish. And I did that. So we now have a completely finished, fluffy, muppety, beautiful purple sweater. And I love it. And I'm obsessed with how cozy it is. Of course, I have things that I would change or do differently because it wouldn't be me if I didn't have lots of notes on my own projects. But we're going to start with all the details and just start with how much I love it and how much I love this color. I've never been a purple person, and now I want so many things in purple, especially this kind of pinky purple, like more warm purple, I guess, more red in it rather than blue. I knit my Cac Sweater using Treehouse Knits spruce sock held together with Truffala cashmere, and I used the color How Long Have You Been 17 from, I think it was a Twilight collection. It was some yarn that I picked up at Flock Fiber Festival. I think it was called, maybe it's just called Flock. In Seattle that I went to back in August, and this is my first completed project with yarn that I bought at Flock. I love it. I started this project on September 20th and I finished knitting it on October 26th, and I just got it washed and blocked this week. And yeah, it is super warm. This is definitely going to be a winter sweater, or when I know I'm going somewhere indoors that's heavily air conditioned. You know, this is not going to be a sit around in a house with the heat on type sweater. But I still love it. And I'm still gonna find plenty of ways to wear it this year because it is so comfy, cozy, and just snuggly. Okay, I'll just give my notes. I always feel like I give a lot of notes and stuff to myself and it can come off like I'm seeming negative about a project. Overall, A+, love how this turned out, but I do have some things that, you know, are learnings for later. First one is, I don't know if a loose gauge sweater is for me or maybe just not DK weight yarn at a loose gauge. Like I've knit some fingering weight at a looser gauge that I like, but this is, you know, very airy and open because it's a DK weight knit on size 10 or 10.5 needles. And it just feels slightly delicate to me. Like I feel like I'm gonna poke a hole in it or snag it. Like it just feels a little bit too drapey, I think, for my comfort level, mostly because I'm worried about something happening to it because it feels a little bit more delicate. Of course, you know, we'll see how it wears and I will let you guys know how it holds up, but it's dreamy, dreamy soft. I just worry a little bit about the longevity of the fabric. It's also the first time I've ever knit something like this with a strand of fingering weight and a strand of lace weight. So yeah, I just don't really have much experience with this type of fabric. And I guess it's just worrying me because it doesn't feel quite as like dense and structured as some of the other sweaters I've knit at a more standard, denser gauge. So that's one thing that I'm going to keep in mind and think about. The other thing is I love the oversized fit and the like very comfy sweatshirt vibes this gives, but I don't actually love how wide the raglan comes out from the bust. I feel like I like the body width, but I feel like these kind of give a bat wing shape under here. Like, you know, my underarm is up here and they're very low. So I don't know if I think my row gauge was slightly off, but I think maybe I should have done a smaller size up on my shoulders and then maybe added more stitches under the arms to get the wider body width I wanted and maybe not made the yoke quite as deep. That sounds like a lot of negatives. It's really not. I really overall love how this fits and feels. I think if I did it again though, I would probably start with a smaller size up top. I think my shoulders might be more narrow than like my bust and hips, like proportionally, because sometimes I just feel like things are a little bit big up here that then otherwise fit the rest of my body. So that's just like a note to self about sizing and shaping and still continually trying to find like my favorite sweater shape, like what's the construction that I like to do and that I feel like fits me the best. And I really like this construction, which is kind of a faux set-in sleeve raglan. My Lyon sweater is knit this way, but I do think I knit the Lyon sweater with less positive ease, which means that I like the way that shape fits a little bit better. So I think now I know with this kind of tailored shoulder, I think I prefer a closer fit. And maybe for sweaters with more positive ease, I should do that in like a drop shoulder because I think I prefer positive ease in a drop shoulder rather than like this kind of tailored look. So that's just a note to myself. But yeah, I think that's everything I have to say about this sweater. I am so happy to have my first official fall knitting project off the needles and done. And now, because it is 82 degrees outside, I'm gonna go ahead and take this off and continue on with the rest of the projects. And surprise, there's more knitting underneath the cognac sweater. This is my Cumulus tee by Petite Knit, and this was a project I finished over the summer, but then had to do a little bit of sweater surgery on to increase the length with my leftover yarn so that it would be more wearable because I accidentally shrunk the length a little bit in the dryer and it was just too cropped. So I was able to add almost 2 inches, maybe 1.75 inches of length with my leftover yarn. I only had 17 grams of this leftover Knitting for Olive cotton merino in my stash. And the color is sold out, or the color is discontinued when Knitting for Olive released their new colors several months ago. So I didn't try to find another skein. I just used every last bit of what I had, including to the point of I ran out on my I-cord bind off. And had to use a yarn from my stash that most closely matched this coral color. And it's not perfect, but I don't think anyone's gonna call me out on it. I'll show it to you guys though. Okay, let me tilt my camera down a little bit. Okay, so I think it's more obvious on camera, but basically my hem started here and I went all the way around, and right in the dead center front, of course, is where I ran out of my my original body color. And so I had to do 1/4 of the hem with a very slightly different pink out of my stash. But you know what? I think it's fine. I am done. I think the length is great. No more putting it in the dryer, Elizabeth. And I absolutely still love the way this Knitting for Olive cotton merino fabric feels. And I have a quantity in my cabinet in a cream color to knit this exact same pattern, or maybe I'll try a different designer's version of the same type of raglan t-shirt. But I basically want another of these t-shirts in the Knitting for Olive. I'll put the color on the screen. It's just like their basic white color. This is just so easy and comfy to wear, and I want more of them. So probably not something I'm going to start this fall because I have plenty of other full jumpers and sweater quantities that I want to get started on, but I will be starting another one of these in another color. Okay, next up, I'm going to share a new start. I started the Stripe Pipe by Kutoba Kika, and this project was a little bit of a start along with a few friends, Bridget the Museum Stitcher, Cam the Stitcher, and Marjorie from Marjorie Made, and I all started these stripe pipes within the last week or so, and I've made some progress, you guys. I'm so excited about this. Let's just start with a quick peek at it because the colors are so good. Yeah. Here it is. The way I'm obsessed with this hot pink color, this is a Explorer Knits and Fibers. I think it's In My Neon Era. Is that what it's called? I'm totally forgetting now. It's something neon. It's like I think it might be I'll put the color name on the screen. I am using yarns from several different hand dyers, all of which I picked up at Flock. My background color is Miss Bab's White Peppercorn and just their DK base, but it's on the big, huge, like mega skeins. So I think they're like 200 grams or 8 ounces of yarn. So I got 2 of those as my background. And then I have a mix of Explorer fibers, Sorella. I know this is a Sorella. I have a couple other Sorella colors and then an Ocean Fibers color that will still be added in here. I actually made a mock-up of what all of my colors are going to look like using my iPad. I like to use Procreate to kind of sketch around a photo, and then I just use like the paint dropper to like fill in colors to kind of test out how I want to place my stripes on things. So that was the kind of, you know, inspo photo I came up with my yarn colors. And I mean, I think it's only been a week, maybe 9 days since I started this, and I got the back knit, the fronts knit and joined, and then I just joined it under the arms and have about 1.5 stripes done under the arms. So very exciting. I did put this one down because I have some other projects that I want to give more priority to before I just completely get obsessed and knit this one without stopping for the next 2 weeks. The first time I knit a stripe pipe was last year, and absolutely obsessed with how that one turned out as well. And I think I knit that one in 19 days, 18 days, start to finish, because I was so obsessed with the stripes and they're so addictive to knit that I just worked on it every single day until it was done. And I pretty much worked on this one every single day for 7 days. And then I was like, okay, let's put it down. There's some other projects that have been on the needle longer that I want to get done. But it's just so fun getting this started with friends. And for some of my friends, it's their first sweater or one of their first sweaters. And so I've been kind of trying to stay one step ahead so that I can send them my little tips and tricks for, you know, picking up stitches at the shoulder and gauge, like if you're different on gauge, how do I do that in math? And as I've been making those videos for them, I've been thinking that I really need to figure out how to film a series for you guys here on YouTube to share for anybody who maybe wants to knit their first sweater and wants somebody to hold their hand throughout the process. So if that's something anybody be interested in, let me know. I think people have told me they're interested in that. I just need to figure out what kind of free patterns are out there that would be good to use for that type of tutorial, and then how to go about logistically filming all of that, because I have a feeling I'd have to like knit the sweater and film the video, and so it'd be a long-term project, but I think it could be really helpful and beneficial. So something else I'm thinking about as I've been working on this with my friends. Yeah, okay, I think that's everything I have to say about the stripe pipe. The pattern's so nice, I had to knit it twice. Oh, the other thing I was going to mention is I knit my first stripe pipe in the extra large size in the pattern, and I absolutely love it, but it was just a slight bit more oversized than I think is my preference. So I did decide to knit the size large this time, and so far I think it's going to be fitting great. I am slightly nervous that it'll come out smaller than I wanted, but I think it's going to be totally fine. So I am knitting the size large, and I have learned from my past stripe pipe that I think I will need one extra body stripe to get the length I want. And yeah, I think that's all I have to say. That's the stripe pipe. Oh, actually, just one other cute little note. I went to StitchCon this past year in June, which is a cross stitch convention for any of you non-cross stitchers out there. And my friends Marjorie, Cam, Bridgen, and several others who were also at StitchCon, we all went to this yarn store called Hank and got some yarn. Not any of which is in this stripe pipe, but we just went yarn shopping together. And so I decided that I had to keep my stripe pipe project in my Hank bag because, you know, I went yarn shopping with my friends to that store. I am very dorky about loving to have themed bags and themed projects, and it just makes me happy. Okay, let's check in on another one of my fall knitting whips, and that is the Alpine Bloom by Caitlin Hunter. This is another project that I started right after Flock Fiber Festival, and I got all the yarn at Flock, and it's my first project with Spin Cycle, and it's a lot of firsts. It's the first time I've done color work in 10 or 15 years, so yeah, it's very exciting, and I've been making progress on it on the last 2 weeks. Here is what it's looking like right now. I believe I did take a picture of me wearing this the other night because I wanted to try it on now that I have a bit of the body knit. I actually can show you. I have a progress keeper on this side. Let's see. So where that little green stitch marker is clipped in is how much progress I've made on it since I showed it to you, which really does not look like a ton. It's about 3 inches of body that I've knit. And this one is definitely slow going for a number of reasons. But okay, can we just admire it for a minute? Because I have blocked the top of it because I was worried about my color work gauge. So the top of this sweater is looking particularly on point because it has been blocked. And I just absolutely love seeing it on my camera. So I'm just gonna give it a minute before I talk about how much I don't really like knitting it. Not that I hate knitting it, it's just not my favorite thing to knit. And you'd think now that I'm through the color work, it would just be flying by now that I'm just knitting on the body. But it's not. And the reason it's not is because of the yarn and needle combination. So I am knitting this 2 pattern with the called for US size 4 needles with the sport weight yarns. I am using as my main color a Sincere Sheep Cormo Sport yarn in the color Sakura, again picked up at Flock. And then I am using a new Spin Cycle dyed in the wool colorway called Straw Baby. And these both seem very fingering to sport weight, you know, light DK. It's very sport weight, I would say. But I think with my gauge, it's just creating too dense of a fabric on the size 4 needles. And it just makes it slightly more uncomfortable to knit because it just feels slightly tighter in my hands as I'm knitting. I prefer like a very neutral gauge. I don't like anything super dense. I don't like anything super loose. I like just very standard. And I think for me and my knitting tension, standard for me with sport weight, it's more of a size 5 needle. I have another project I'll show you in a minute that's on sport weight yarn that I'm knitting on a size 5, and I am so happy with the knitting process at that needle size and that yarn. So that's one of the reasons this is slowing me down a little bit, is just because it's slightly tighter and slightly more work to knit on a one size down needle and this yarn weight. It's not a big deal. I'm not going to not finish this project. This project, basically, because I know that it's not my absolute favorite thing to work on right now, I am forcing myself to do 3 or 4 rows of the body every single day. And I've been doing that for, I think, the last 5 days. So I've definitely made, you know, this progress that you see here. But I do think it's going to take several more weeks of me just forcing myself to get through this body, because I still have about, I don't know, 9 inches of body and then the ribbing to put on. So I have a lot more work to do. It is a lot of stitches because it is, you know, a size 4 needle gauge. There's, you know, I'm knitting like the extra large size. So I have a lot of stitches on my needles. It's going to take a while to get through, but I love the way it's looking. I'm very excited about the eventual outcome. You know, I took the picture of me wearing it. Putting this on and trying it on and seeing it grow is really motivating. And so that's why I'm trying to make this kind of my everyday, pick this up and do 3 or 4 rows, which does take an hour or so, to be honest, at least, like maybe even 2 hours. There's a lot of stitches on these needles. So I'm just trying to make this my everyday, it gets some work project before I can move on to other things. And of course, that's not going to happen every single day, but that's where this one is at. Absolutely love it and cannot wait to have a finished object. It's kind of like the cumulus tee, honestly. When I got to the body of this cumulus tee, it was a slog. I had to force myself to just put in rounds every single day because the tiny needles, the tiny yarn. This one, it wasn't difficult to knit because it was a pretty neutral gauge. It wasn't tight, but just the amount of stitches when every row takes you like 15 to 20, 30 minutes, you're like, I'm never going to see progress. But as long as you keep working on it, you get progress. So I just have to keep reminding myself that because I absolutely want this finished garment. And I do think, it's still up in the air, but I do think I'm going to have enough yarn to do long sleeves. They look so cute in short sleeves. I feel like I saw on everybody's Rhinebeck vlogs, tons of people wearing the sweater and they were wearing it short sleeved, like over a long sleeve top or something like that, or over a dress or, you know, so we'll see if I end up wanting to do the long sleeves or not. But for now, this is what my Alpine Bloom is looking like and I absolutely love it. Okay, next up is my Traveler Hoodie by Andrea Mowry. This is a pattern that I was so excited to get started on when I shared it in my fall knitting plans. And let's see, how long have I been working on this? I should have checked my Ravelry. I believe I started this a few weeks ago. I know I shared it once I had started it maybe 2 weeks ago, and it has received some knitting, not a ton. I was hoping to get to the underarm split. This is a project that's knit bottom up, but I'm not quite there yet. But I wanted to share the progress I've made. Oh, trying to hold it up without losing stitches. It's kind of awkward holding up bottom up projects, I feel like. But here's what it's looking like. This is the Traveler. I'm doing the hoodie version. There's also a crew neck option in the pattern, but I was inspired to knit this by Natalie of Knitty Natty when I saw hers in person at Flock, and I just absolutely love it. And I'm very excited about this color. I am using a Woolberry Fiber Berry Merino Sport. It's just 100% superwash merino yarn, and it is from her You've Got Mail collection, and the color is Bouquet of Freshly Sharpened Pencils. I always say graphite in my head because that's what I think the color kind of looks like a pencil lead, kind of a brown gray. And yeah, I think the color is gorgeous. I think it's a really fun, like pretty kind of deep neutral that will go with black leggings, with jeans, with everything I wear a hoodie with basically. And yeah, right now I'm just in the boring bit, which is, you know, I cast it on and I'm just knitting in circles. And this is a cropped hoodie pattern. So technically I have knit even past the length that she says to split for sleeves, but on my tall body with my long torso, even though this will stretch a lot lengthwise, I need several more inches before I feel safe splitting for the front and the back. So yeah, right now it is just knitting in the round. I didn't place a marker for my progress, but if you see here, this is where I joined in the second skein. So I've knit maybe about 1.5 inches since joining in my new ball of yarn since the last time I shared it with you. So, you know, it looks pretty much the same as the last time you saw it, but progress has been made. And this is this and my Alpine Bloom are kind of the next projects that I really want to focus on to get a finish. I have a feeling this is going to be my main project for the next several days because I really want to be able to get it to that point of splitting for the front and the back. So yeah, we'll see what happens. I'll update you guys in my next video, you know, but yeah, that is my Traveler by Andrea Mowry. Okay, the next project I have to share with you is actually not part of my fall knitting plans video. It is a whip that I've had on the needles for a little while now, but it is one I definitely want to get done in the next month or two to be able to wear this when it actually gets finally cold here in Texas. And by cold, I mean, you know, into the 50s. That's what I'm hoping for this year, maybe some days in the 50s. And it is my Musselburgh hat by Isolde Teague. I started this as just the perfect travel project. This hat, you start with kind of a pinhole cast on, and you start working in the round, increasing to get your crown shape. And then once you have your crown, it is just knitting stockinette in the round for inches and inches and inches, because this hat is constructed by basically making a giant long oval and you shove one end inside the other to create a double layer beanie. And I am doing the one that has a fold up brim, meaning I need even more fabric between my two crown points. So I think I have enough knit now that it would be like the perfect single layer beanie with no fold. So that means I need to do another 6 inches to have the fold, and then this again to have the rest of the hat. So, you know, I'm like a third of the way through my hat right now, but this is just the easiest thing to pick up and work on right now. So here is my progress keeper. So you can see I've knit 1 inch or 2 on this since the last time I've showed it to you. And I'm obsessed. This little like progress keeper is a little peanut butter and jelly sandwich that I got from Sam's Tiny Trinkets on Etsy. And I picked it because my absolute favorite snack is an Uncrustable. You know, the little freezer sandwiches made for children. It's my favorite. I saw a meme the other day that was like me pretending to listen to the waiter as he reads the specials, knowing that I'm just going to order chicken tenders. And okay, no, I don't only order chicken tenders at restaurants, but I do love a chicken tender. I love a lot of kids' foods. Anyways, that's an aside about my childish food palette and how much I love Uncrustables and chicken tenders. Who doesn't? So anyways, I am knitting my Musselburgh hat with Ruby and Rose's Soft Rose fingering weight yarn, which is like a cashmere blend. It is dreamy and soft, and the color I'm using is called Into the Woods from her Taylor Swift collection. And I think it's absolutely gorgeous. I love how variegated and speckled it is. It definitely looks way higher contrast on camera than it does in person, but I think the end result is going to be a really pretty dark, moody hat with just like pops of fun speckles and colors. So this is like as close to neutral as I get sometimes. Like when I spend the amount of time I spend on my projects, I just want the materials that I use and the colors that I'm working with to be fun and engaging. And sometimes that results in a project that is not the most wearable because, you know, if I'm buying store-bought clothes, I'm buying a lot of neutral things. But when I make stuff, the making process is like 75% of the fun for me. So I want to be making it in yarns that feel amazing and colors that keep my interest and stitch patterns and stripes and things that are just fun to do. And of course I want to get that end result, which is a garment that I'll love and wear. But even if I think I'll only wear it a few times, most of the fun in it is the making. So Yeah. Oh, I guess I should mention I am knitting mine on US size 2 needles. I do think this yarn is a little bit of a heavy fingering. I think I probably could have gone to a 2.5 or a size 3 just fine, but I also think that this will be, you know, a really nice, dense, very warm hat, which again, in Texas, do I need? Not really, but my husband's family is in Indiana and we do like to go visit them in the winter. And this year I really want to go to Colorado to like a little, like, okay, my husband and I don't ski. I've skied before as a kid. I was not good at it. It was terrifying. But we kind of want to go do a ski vacation where we don't ski and we just like, I don't know, snowshoe walk and sit in the lounge and get to wear the cute winter stuff and enjoy the snow, but not actually like kill ourselves trying to learn how to ski. That's the vacation I want to take around New Year's. Our anniversary of when we met is on New Year's Eve. And so since I have time off from work around then, it's usually easy to kind of plan a trip around New Year's. So maybe if we do a little fakey ski vacation this year, I can wear my adorable winter hat in a more appropriate setting than here. So that's the Musselburgh hat. Okay, the last thing I wanted to talk about was also not on my fall knitting plans, and it is also not something that I've touched in a couple of months, and I've really been wanting to get back to it. This is a project that I started with two of my friends, Shiloh, X-Stitch MD, and Lauren, the New Hampshire Stitcher, which if you haven't watched Lauren's newest video, she released a whip parade and announced that she is pregnant with her first baby, and love you, Lauren. If you haven't watched it, I'll link her video below. But the three of us started a shawl, which is the Drk Melt Shawl by Andrea Mowry. And it is a very complicated, but very beautiful shawl with about 100 ends to weave in. And I really want to get it done this season in time to wear it, you know, January, February timeframe, because it is a DK weight shawl. So it's very large. Shiloh did so the pattern comes in a small and a large size, and Shiloh did the large one, and she just recently finished it, which is also why I'm inspired to get mine back out. And it is a full-on blanket on her. It looks amazing. I am glad I'm doing the small though, after seeing her large version. Mine's still gonna be a little baby blanket. But I really want it done, and the yarn that I'm using is so beautiful, and I was pulling this out and looking at it and I was like, I need to work on mine. So I'm showing it off here and adding it to kind of my fall knitting plans because, you guys, which way is the right side? This is the right side. Look at it. It's so pretty. It is a mix of feather and fan lace, brioche, stripes, and about 8 million ends that have to get woven in. The way this pattern is knit makes it look amazing, but it means you can't carry the yarn up the sides. It uses a lot of one row stripes, meaning you've got to start on one end and end on the other and then pick up another yarn. So there's no carrying yarn up the sides. Or if there is a way to do that, I don't think so. I don't know. Now I'm questioning myself. I haven't found a way. So, you know, I've got 8 million ends, and that's kind of one of the reasons why, you know, I slowed down on it, because I'm like, what do I do when I finish it? I've got to weave all these in. But it's so pretty, and seeing Shiloh's finish, it's just really motivating me to work on this. This is definitely a different color palette for me. Again, it's got that pinky purple that I love. Let's see, the main color is, what am I using? It's a Dreamin' Color yarn. I think I have it. Do I have the label? No, I don't. I have all of the yarns listed in my Ravelry page, which will always be linked down below. But it's I believe a Dreamin' Color kind of cashmere weight, or a cashmere blend DK weight, mixed with a purple and a blue from, again, I think they're just Superwash Merino DKs, hand dyed. You guys know I love my hand dyed yarn. And yeah, so it's all just DK weight. I'm knitting it on US size 6 needles. And yeah, it's absolutely gorgeous. And I want to pull this one back out and get it done because I want to be using it this year. So I think I'm maybe halfway or almost 2/3 of the way done. I think I have one more repeat of the stripes, the brioche and the lace, or maybe the stripes and the brioche, and then a big lace section at the bottom to close it out. And then I'll be very interested to block it. I think it's going to be about this much longer. So it's going to be a full shawl size, even with knitting the small version. So I am very glad I picked the small one, even though Shiloh's amazing blanket looks amazing. Let's just say amazing several more times. It's getting to the end of the video, so I'm getting silly now. Yeah, okay. That is my Drk Melt Shawl. And with that, I think we've reached the end of the video. Those are all the updates on the fall knitting. And I have several more things from that fall knitting video still kitted up and ready to start. And I am trying to stop myself from starting anything new until I either finish the Alpine Bloom or the Traveler Hoodie. But, you know, who knows? It's not been a great week for a number of reasons, and including that I'm just always busy lately at work. And sometimes, I mean, crafting is my like therapy. So sometimes you just need to start something new just to make yourself feel better, right? Or at least that's what I do. That's like a coping mechanism. You know, you just start new things and get yourself excited about something in like a creative way and a creative outlet. And so if I end up starting 3 new projects before the next video, sorry, not sorry. But you know, I'm trying to be responsible with my whips, and I really do want all of these finished. So I'm gonna do my best to focus on my whips this week and not start anything new, but we'll see what happens. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will be coming at you soon with all of the cross stitch and quilting updates. And yeah, thank you again to Skillshare for sponsoring this video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!